The night was unusually cold, and the silence in the small apartment seemed heavier than ever. Emma sat at the kitchen table with her head resting on her hands, staring at the stack of unpaid bills that lay before her. She was a single mom, doing her best to hold everything together after her husband had walked away 2 years ago. Her daughter, Lily, only 7, was asleep in the next room, unaware of the burden that weighed on her mother's shoulders. Emma had worked 2 jobs, skipped meals, and borrowed from friends, but now she was at the end of her strength. That night, in desperation, she picked up her phone and typed a message. Her fingers trembled as she wrote, "Please, I don't know what else to do. I need help. I'm scared I won't be able to keep a roof over Lily's head. If you have anything to spare, please, even advice. I can't do this anymore." She intended to send it to her sister, the only person she thought might understand. But in her exhaustion and panic, she pressed the wrong contact. The message went to a number she didn't recognize, one she had mistakenly saved months ago during a mix-up with a delivery app. After hitting send, she put the phone down and buried her face in her arms, not realizing the mistake. She cried silently, hoping Lily would never see her break like this. She drifted into restless sleep at the table, thinking no answer would ever come. But far across town, in a penthouse high above the city, a man named Alexander Reed looked at his phone in surprise. A self-made millionaire, Alexander was known for his success in business but not for his personal life. He was wealthy, admired, even envied, yet he lived in quiet loneliness. His parents had passed early, and though he had friends in high places, no one truly knew him. The message that appeared on his screen seemed accidental, yet it pierced through the armor he had built around himself. He read it twice, then 3 times. He could have ignored it, most men in his position probably would have, but something about the raw honesty in those words gripped him. The thought of a mother struggling, alone with a child, tugged at something deep inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. He replied simply, "Where do you live?" Emma stirred when her phone buzzed. She blinked at the reply, confusion flooding her when she realized the number wasn't her sister's. Panic raced through her. She had just poured her soul out to a stranger. She quickly typed, "I'm sorry. Wrong number. Please ignore my message." But Alexander didn't ignore it. "No," he wrote back. "Don't apologize. Tell me what you need. I want to help." Emma hesitated. She didn't trust easily, and why should she? Life had taught her that promises rarely meant anything. Yet something in the tone of his words felt sincere. Still, she put the phone down, deciding not to answer. She couldn't risk more disappointment. The next morning, however, came a knock on her door. Emma opened it cautiously, expecting perhaps a neighbor, but her heart nearly stopped when she saw a tall, well-dressed man standing there, holding a bag of groceries. His eyes were kind, though she noticed the weariness in them too. "Emma," he asked gently. "I'm Alexander. I think you sent me a message last night." She froze, stunned, unsure what to say. You actually came?" she whispered, almost in disbelief. "I did," he said softly. "I didn't mean to frighten you. I just couldn't forget your words. You sounded like you needed someone." Emma's instinct was to slam the door shut, but the sight of the groceries in his hand, the sincerity on his face, and the thought of Lily needing breakfast made her pause. Slowly, she opened the door wider. I didn't mean for anyone to see that. It was a mistake." "Maybe," Alexander said gently, "but maybe it wasn't." He placed the groceries on the table and stepped back, careful not to intrude. Emma stared at the bags, milk, bread, fruit, even Lily's favorite cereal. Her eyes stung, but she tried to stay composed. "Why would you do this? You don't even know me." Alexander smiled faintly. "Maybe not, but I know what it's like to feel alone, and I know what it means to wish for someone to care." Over the next few days, Alexander began to appear more often. At first, Emma resisted, wary of his motives, but he never asked for anything in return. He helped quietly, fixing the broken lock on her door, bringing warm meals, reading bedtime stories to Lily when Emma was too exhausted. He never crossed a boundary, always asking permission, always showing respect. Lily, innocent and open-hearted, grew fond of him quickly. She began calling him Mr. Alex and would run to the door whenever he visited. Emma watched the bond between them grow with mixed emotions. Part of her feared relying on him, afraid it would all vanish one day. But another part of her, the part that had been starved for kindness, began to hope. One evening, as they sat together after dinner, Emma finally asked the question that had been on her mind since the beginning. Why me? Why are you doing all this? Alexander looked at her quietly for a long moment. Because I can. Because maybe fate sent me your message for a reason. And because I think you and Lily deserve more than struggle and pain. Tears filled her eyes and she turned away, ashamed of how much his words affected her. I'm not a charity case, she whispered. I never thought you were, he said firmly. I see strength in you, Emma, more than I've seen in anyone. But even the strongest need someone sometimes. It was then that Emma allowed herself to believe. For years she had carried everything alone, hiding her fears behind a brave face for Lily's sake. But now for the first time she felt she didn't have to. Weeks turned into months. Alexander continued to be there. Not just with money, but with presence. Showing up for Lily's school play, cooking with Emma in the kitchen, listening when she needed to vent. The three of them began to form something that felt like family, though none of them dared to name it yet. One rainy night, as thunder rolled outside, Emma stood at the window watching the storm. Alexander came up behind her, offering her a blanket. You've changed my life, she said softly, surprising even herself with the admission. I never thought, after everything, that someone would care this much. Alexander looked at her with a tenderness that melted the wall she had built. You changed mine first, he said. That one message. It opened a door I didn't even know I needed. In that moment, Emma realized that what had started as an accident had become the most important part of her life. She had sent a desperate message to the wrong man, but maybe it had reached exactly the right one. And when Lily came running into the room, throwing her arms around both of them, Emma knew deep in her heart that fate had given her not just help, but a second chance at love, family, and hope.